I'm going to tell you about my eBay seller capital flexible cash advance experience. Make sure you watch this full video today because I think it's going to be very helpful to those who are interested. This is going to be some timeless knowledge just in general about taking out advances or loans or financing when trying to grow your business. So even if you're not interested in taking out loans or using finances in your business, it's good to understand what's out there and how to play the game if you want to play the game. And so I'm just going to go over my experience with the eBay seller capital flexible cash advance opportunity that they give. And online, there's only a couple of videos that break it down a little bit, but I just want to bring my flavor into it. And if it touches those who need to get in touch with this knowledge, that's what matters. Okay. So first, you kind of have to start with the bare bones of what I'm talking about. So eBay, one of the great things about eBay is so big. They have so many different partners that they work with. They have so much money that they can partner and broker deals with banks to provide financing and capital to their sellers on their platform, right? Ultimately, eBay needs sellers on their platform with great products so people can buy and they can make money by taking a fee when it's bought. That's how they make money. And so when you have so much money, you've made so much money over time, you try to give back and help or provide opportunity. So what eBay has done is they've partnered with this bank called Leberis, where they can provide different opportunities to eBay sellers to get money in their hands a little bit faster with interest. Obviously, the interest is going to be higher because this is a quick online type of loan. But depending on what type of business you're in, what you sell, and your performance and how much you sell, it may be something for you. And the reason why I'm being very concise and serious about this, because this is a serious matter when you're talking about using leverage, and I don't want to make any mistakes or mask it that when using leverage when doing financing, that's taking a risk, and there are risks in this. And I'm not a financial advisor, and for 85% of the people who see this, eBay seller capital flexible cash advance is probably not going to be for you. But for the people who are in the book business, who are ambitious, who want to sell more, and who want to grow, this might be something for you. So that's just a long intro disclaimer on what this is. So the eBay seller capital flexible cash advance, there's a couple of different opportunities, financing opportunities you can do on eBay, but I did the flexible cash advance, which is essentially Leberis, the partner with eBay, the bank in this, the people who give out the financing, they underwrite you in your store on how much they are willing to give out to you. So for me, my first underwriting for the year, and this is for a whole year, is that I'm allowed to max out $4,400 on my account of flexible cash advance. Meaning, if I only want to take out 1,000, I could take out 1,000. Now I only need to pay back that 1,000, but I at least have that max of $4,400 if I want to use the whole thing as I pay it back. So, and how this one works is, and a lot of them are the same but how this one works is it takes 20% of your sales daily. So at the end of the night, around like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, whatever you have of your process money that is able to be put in your bank the next day, Leberis is going to take 20% of that. So whatever is already processed from your money for your PayPal on eBay, they're going to take 20% of that. That's every month. And so keep that in mind. That's why you have to continue to sell to pay it off, because your 20% of your revenue of that's ready to be going to your bank account will be taken. That's important to know. And so for myself, I started this on September 18th, 2025. And as of April 11th, 2026, I had an outstanding balance of zero. As you see, my last balance was $33.71. I paid that off in totality. So it took me September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. So it took me about 8 months to pay it off. Now, yes, was a long time, and yes, it did drag on me at some points. And yes, I didn't use the money properly the first time. Well, I knew it. I didn't, and I knew that, and I knew it was going to be a little bit longer. But I used the Q4 bump of sales to even that out some. And so let me break that down. So even with my own issues of the 20% of sales dragging down what I'm actually taking home, I was still able to withstand that, which continued to grow my store. But I'll explain what happened. So I have stocks that I'm invested in that are doing decently well, and I want to keep them invested, right? I'm a long-term investor, and so I have to pull money from different areas. That's why I use eBay Seller Capital. Now, I did have some money aside to buy a new car, which I did. And for a down payment, I used some of my savings and a little bit of the eBay seller flexible cash advance the very first time. So you don't want to do that. And I'm going to break down the stats why, because even though a car is ultimately an asset for me, my business, because I have to get around, I'm able to move and stuff like that. It's machinery. It's not directly going to sales, helping out to pay the advance, right? And so yes, I did that once, but I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't use the money I get from the seller, the advance, for something that's not inventory, right? Because, and I have ChatGPT to break it down, because we are in the book business and inventory is important. So look, eBay capital advance, ROI business impact. Capital received $4,400. Total repayment $5,865.20. Fixed cost interest is $1,465.20. So the effective cost of capital return cost is about 33.3%. This represents a flat 33% financing cost. Okay, so that's very high. In a lot of cases, you can get small business loan for, I'm sure, under 10% right now, if not lower, 5, 6, car payments, 6 to 10 and such. But you have to understand the risk and liability of this type of financing, how quick you get it without, credit checks and stuff. And so repayment structure, 20% of eBay payouts automatically applied to repayment. No fixed payment schedule, scales with revenue. Total revenue required to repay, about $29,326. And so just like business model economics, things, your mileage may vary depending on your business model, but we are in the used book industry. We should be getting books at a relatively low price and sell them at really high margins. That's why we do this business. That's why we love it, right? That's why I wouldn't do this if it was a different capital intensive industry where sales weren't as common, or you had to wait for a lot of sales. So just take these stats for a grain of salt. They could vary depending on your own business model. But say this: cost per unit is $2.75. Net payout per sale is $22. Pre-loan profit is $19.25 per book. After loan deduction, repayment per sale, that's $4.40. Net after repayment is $17.60. Adjusted profit, $17.60 minus $2.75. That's $14.85. The adjusted return on an investment is 540% still, and that's at a cost per book at $2.75. You could be under $1, but I'm putting everything in that stat, though. Everything. So the adjusted ROI is $540 roundabout. So the scale required to repay, the units need to sell is about 1,333 books. So almost 1,500 books almost to pay this off. And I did it again, maxed out. So that's where I'm at. So here's some key takeaways. Strengths: strong per unit cost margins even after financing impact. ROI is 540%, significantly exceeds cost of capital of 33%. Flexible repayment tied to sales volume. Risks: repayment is based on revenue, not profit. Requires consistent inventory turnover. Slower sales reduce cash flow efficiency, which, during the slow times, you can feel that for sure. And the conclusion on this, despite relatively high financing costs, your model maintains high profitability after repayment impact. With disciplined inventory turnover, this capital advance is economically advantageous and scalable. So to those who are serious, this could be an option for you. And for those interested, this is called Gematria. If you're more curious to learn more about Gematria, please go to my primary channel, Data Productions Media, where you can learn more in the link in the description below. But as you see, these numbers keep popping up. eBay equals 33 in English ordinal. Booksellers equals 133 in English ordinal. We have efficient book selling with leverage, and leverage in the high margin business equals 333 English ordinal, 162 English reduction, and 171 in reverse reduction. So in 3 out of the 4 base English ciphers in Gematria, you see efficient book selling with leverage can be powerful, and leverage in a high margin business can be powerful as well, where it can, compound and exponentially grow. So if you do it properly and you do it in a business like we are in for used books, and you have low cost per unit, I think it's very advantageous to do it. I've experienced it, and now I have the formula to succeed a lot better, and I'm already paying it off. So, if you have any questions about it, reach out to me, and we can go over it more.